he didn't even go deep into the situation I'm in. He was talking about the future. And that day I went home, I was thinking about the future. What do I want to be? Can I achieve it? Because when we're talking, I was like, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. He was like, you can still do it. You have a child doesn't mean you can't do it. That's what he said.
Welcome to Mirror Talk Soulful Conversations, where we journey into the depths of human experience to uncover truth, healing, and purpose. Today's guest is a strong, inspiring woman whose life has been marked by both hardship and hope. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, and raised in Germany, she has walked through the storms of childhood trauma, single motherhood, and identity struggles, only to rise as a helper, a healer, and a future change maker in our community. As a social worker by day, a dreamer by soul, and a soon-to-be law student with a mission to serve the African diaspora, she reminds us all that your past doesn't define who you are or what you will become. Welcome to the show, Bethina. How are you doing?
Fine. That was a nice introduction. I was a bit, oh, who is he talking about? Me, yeah. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, that's me, yes.
That's you. Yeah.
I'm fine. And you?
I'm good, thank you. When I was introducing you, even when preparing for this conversation, I was like, I don't think Bettina has ever seen me in such a formal mode or will ever see me in such a formal mode because we know each other, out of podcasts, in church.
Yeah.
And I don't think you've ever seen me as a very serious person, have you? Have you seen me in
Okay, imagine, but no, haven't.
No, but I'm good, and I'm happy that we're doing this because last time we spoke, I was enjoying the family camp out, and you started sharing about your story. I was like, oh, this is going to be something. I mean, your story is very, very deep, and I'm so proud of who you've become today, despite everything that you've experienced in the past. And then when you said, oh, you would love to be on the podcast, I was like, oh, wow, that's a jackpot. I mean, that's something awesome. Just share your story out there with the world, and maybe there are people out there that could become blessed by it. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to hearing all of that on the show. But before we go into all of that, I want us to just, make the atmosphere a little bit much more relaxed by putting you on the edge a little bit, by asking you some random questions. So I have 3 stacks of cards. We're going to play the wild card questions. I have 3 stacks of cards. Shuffling the first level, that's icebreakers right now. I'm shuffling the first stack of cards. I'll just pull up a card randomly and ask you a question if you're ready.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. What is something your parents warned you about that ended up true?
Jesus, group of friends. The kind of people I surround myself with.
Mm.
And my mom, mostly, she was like, she does not see the person physically because she lives in Africa, but from what she's seen or heard, the person were not good friends. And it actually was true.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Our parents have very good intuition, I would say.
I'm telling you.
Sense it
I'm
all.
telling you.
The Holy Ghost is speaking with them. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that because I can also relate to that. My parents tell me sometimes, they'll tell you that person is not good for you. That person is, don't run with those people, run with these people. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
We're like, our friends always argue. I'm like, you don't know them now. How can you know them? I deal with them more. They can see what we can't see. A blessing.
It's a blessing, yes. Are you ready for the next question? I put up the card already. Well, I'm asking you these kind of questions. Okay. What have you done that you're not proud of?
A lot.
A lot. I think that's another podcast episode on its own, right?
There are a lot. I have to just choose the one that is not so bad to share. I don't really say I'm not proud of them because they're actually me. But I'll say this one. The way I treated a certain friend, I was not really proud of that because I was in UK and she was such a lovely soul and I was going through something myself and I just treated her really, really bad. I said some things that were really hurtful and I tried to apologize to her and doesn't want to hear it. I would say that's one of the major things I'm not proud of.
Have you been able to forgive yourself for it, or has she also forgiven you at this moment?
I don't know because I'm in contact with one of our friends because I explained to her over the years that it took me a while to apologize. I'll say almost a year. And when I did, the friend heard me out, but then she told me she was not willing to speak to me at that moment. And I tried months later and She was like, "Oh, she forgave me. It doesn't matter." I don't know if she really did, but I think she was not ready for the conversation. So she was like, "Okay, don't worry, I forgive you," because she's a very, very spiritual person. So I think she just did it because of the religion or because of who she was. Like I said, she was a very nice person. But I don't know. To today, I don't know if she really forgave me. That's the question I have. But I've reached out to her severally. I've spoken to her sister, to her good friend, but she kind of vanished from thin air. Nobody know where she is. Yeah, so I don't know.
I hope she has truly forgiven you, and I hope you've
Hope
also
so.
forgiven
I hope
yourself
so.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
you did. Awesome. Yeah, that could be life sometimes, right? I mean, but
I'm telling you.
that's where we have the place for forgiveness, forgiving ourselves and other people forgiving us, and we forgiving other people too.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. Are you ready for the last question?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the most painful thing you have been told?
Can I say two because it kind of combined together? Because I cannot level which of them was the worst.
Yeah, feel free.
There was a few years ago, one of my auntie said to me, due to the conversation was just random, but she said that because of I was not doing a certain thing, I was a bad mother. And that just touched me. Well, can I just say what it is? I think you have to edit it more because it doesn't make sense. Well, me and my auntie were having a random conversation about something. That time I was just new into the single motherhood, and we're talking about co-parenting with the father of my son, and I was that time not willing to. And because of that, she now said I was a bad mother and I was heartless. So, and that really touched me because she was very someone close to me and she already knew the kind of person he was and what I've been through with him. And for her to say it, it really touched me. I did not speak to her for 3 years.
Wow, for 3 years.
For 3 years, yeah.
Well, now you guys are back in speaking terms.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
are, we are, we are. She apologized because she's also a mother and she understood what she said was actually hurtful. I think she just said it like that, not really thinking of how it's gonna come across. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, those questions were quite deep, and I was like, "Oh, Bettina, I'm so sorry," but I'm happy you answered them with grace, and I'm happy that you are vulnerable to express yourself. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to speak with you on this episode because of what you've experienced, and just like you, I mean, we are both in Germany at this moment, at time of recording, but you came way, way earlier than I did. I mean, when you were younger. And I want to learn from your story, like from your life journey. Like, can you take us back to your early years, growing up in Lagos and then moving to Germany at the age of 8? How did, those transitions shape your sense of identity?
I would say this, my childhood, I don't really remember that much. I remember that I have the mom, things, lots of cousins, family around, and then when I moved down here, it was all taken away. That's what it felt like. Because when I moved down here, I only moved with my dad and then a woman that I don't know from Adam, who he was living with, and then all this family life, like we always visit my own cousins, uncles, auntie, we're all in Nigeria, so we're all gathered together one way or the other. And when I got to gym, we were alone. At least I had my elder sister, but my dad was working a lot. So we did not have this togetherness like we used to when we were in Nigeria. And that was really difficult. And most times very, very lonely. And then adapting to the system and learn the language and meeting new people. I know that may be my opinion, but I feel like Germany are more with them themselves. So it's not like you don't go visit someone randomly like we do in Africa. So yeah, that was a bit lonely.
But if you could reflect back, I mean, if you look at yourself today and reflect back to, those changes, leaving Nigeria, coming to Germany, and that loneliness, not having the togetherness again like you used to do in Nigeria, would you say it's changed your character or your way of thinking, your way of life also right now?
A bit, because when I was in Africa, I felt like that was something normal and I didn't really appreciate it. And now I appreciate every single moment I have with any of my family members. I cherish them so much, and I'm very, very family orientated when it comes to that, because I want them to be all together. I always plan get-togethers. I think when it comes to my identity, I love people around me, and that's also shaped why I chose to be a social worker. So yeah, it was.
Yeah. I was trying
Yeah,
to get to that point actually because I was like, okay, I mean, something must have, motivated you to become a social worker.
yeah,
Maybe your past, for example, or maybe you had a dream and then it came to you as a revelation that you should become a social worker. It could be
yeah.
different things. Yeah. Well, before we talk about, everything that made you a social worker or part of it actually, I would like you to share a little bit more on your childhood, growing up, your experience, your childhood experience, what you shared with me when we were building up the swimming pool. Your childhood was marked by a deep sense of emotional rejection and even violence. If it's okay with you, how did these experiences affect how you saw yourself back then and how you saw other people?
I think now, I would say over the years, I built a lot of resentment towards certain people and having a lot of trust issues and also not opening up about myself due to always feeling rejected. When you try to, like, okay, because I was growing up with my mom and my siblings and elder sister in Africa. And when I got here, I only had my elder sister and my dad. And I can't blame him because he himself is just a human being and he was going through his own life. And, you always touch people that are closest to you. And we're the ones that were closest to him. And each time I tried to open up about something, because like I said, I was feeling lonely. I always felt like I couldn't really have a deep conversation with my dad. I can't speak to him back then about anything. And each time I tried to, it was, let me just give a brief example. There was a time something where they were going through, I don't know, adults were going through their own issues. And then he was angry and asked me and my sister if we wanted to move back to Africa to go and stay with my mom. Because he asked us. I don't remember how the conversation was because I was so young. It was like 2 or 3 years after I relocated to Germany. So I was like 10, 11. And he asked me if I wanted to, I think he was arguing with my mom about something, I don't know. And he came to the room. I was like, do I want to go back? And I said, yes. And I got the beating of my life that day. I was, I, he beats, I got the beating of my life because I told him I wanted to move back to Africa. And I was like, did I say something wrong? Like, what did I say wrong? You asked what I wanted and I said what I wanted. So since then, I don't really tell people what I want. I don't open up to people because I always fear the consequences or getting betrayed by those people. And over the years, I had to learn to open up to certain people. And then you have to be scared. Who are you opening up to? Like, always fearing or walking around eggshells around people. So that is something like, to today, I'm working on it. But sometimes, depending, I don't let people in easily. I always tell people you might know me, but you don't really know who I am because I just say something and you like picturing yourself, or trying to see what it might be, but officially they don't actually know me. So I had to, and I get triggered when someone punch me or tap me in a certain way, and that will bring back memories. And then, which is also not nice because back then, I'd say like 5 years ago, I'll punch you back. Even though it wasn't a game to you, but for me, it was like, no, and I don't want to tell people about my past or what happened with my dad. I feel like it's a little bit too vulnerable. Back then, I was like, what if the person used it against me? Because the ex-partner I had, he was the first man I ever told what actually happened in my house. He used that against me because when we're going through difficulties, his first thing was, now I understand why your dad beat you. So I was like, okay, okay. especially when you already know what happened or who the person, who my dad was or is, and you not throw that back in my face because I told you what happened. So that was really hurtful, and sometimes I'm a bit skeptical what I tell people, especially if I know it can still hurt me. If it does not really hurt me, I can speak about it because, like, okay, it's my past, doesn't actually matter. But yeah, I'm very, very careful what I tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even may ask, like, how has the healing journey been like for you? Experiencing that at the age of 10, 11, and dealing with that trauma right now. Are you on a healing journey? Are you doing some things to ensure that the trigger does not come up as often as it does, or you don't even get triggered again?
Tried different things over the years, and I started therapy, learned how to speak about it because I feel like it was just all buried within me, and I didn't tell people what was going on. So I always learned to just speak about it, because then bit by bit it was going, and then through my spiritual journey, I was very, very hesitant with gets to know God because I felt like, well, I was a child. I didn't choose to be in that situation because my mom is a deacon, and since I've known her, it's all about church. I think 99% of her life is church. But and I was like, with everything I've experienced, like, why me? That was the thing I always asked myself. Why me? If you really love me that much, like you claim, like the Bible always say, but why me still? And I was struggling with that a lot. With my elder sister's help, I kind of go through the journey. I have two elder sisters. Both of them, I kind of navigate that journey through my spiritual self, finding myself spiritually, and kind of, I think, speaking to God, knowing the Bible a bit, learn how to forgive. I think when I started the church, we had the Bible study, and they said we should write down topics we want to talk about. And the first thing that came up in my mind was forgiveness. How can we forgive? It's easy to say, okay, let me read the Bible about forgiveness. You can go online, say pages about forgiveness. What does the Bible say? But it's not as easy. After learning, and I was like, okay, I had to forgive them. I really have to forgive my dad. I had to even forgive my mom because I was putting the blame on her too because she chose the husband that she chose. So it's her fault. I was like, I was even putting more blame on her than on him because if she didn't choose that husband, it wouldn't be my dad. Or I had to forgive her, forgive myself, forgive my dad. I think forgiving my dad was the last part. I think I officially forgive him 3, 4 years ago. Actually, maybe 3 years ago because I stopped talking to him a long time ago. But 3 years ago was actually when I was like, do you know what? Out of mind, out of sight. It doesn't matter. I forgive him. It does not really hurt me that much. I just wish him all the best. So I think, yeah, I think today I kind of reflect on myself a bit.
When you talk about forgiveness, like what does it mean to you? Like, I like what you said about forgiving. I mean, you kind of blame your mom a little bit because of what she picked. And what was coming to my mind was like, okay, yeah, I don't know, I don't know what her story was like, circumstances or who she fell in love with. You cannot really control, who you fall in love with sometimes. And maybe the person was a different person back then also. So that was leading me to my question right now. Like, okay, what do you do in order to forgive your mom, for example, for her choices, your dad? What are there like some exercises that you do to ease that process of forgiving them?
I think my mom I spoke to her about it. Really, when I was traveling to Nigeria a lot. So I sat her down and I was like, you know, except from the things that happened, but it was mainly with who you choose. I think we always have that conversation about my dad in general because she wished for me to have contact with him because I cut the contact. So we always talk about my dad every time I see her, even over the phone. So she was like, okay. I told her like that was a time I don't wish to, or when she called me, I was not happy to pick the call. It's not like she did anything wrong, but that thing was like, anytime I saw her call, I was so angry. Like it, it was just, I was like, I was also, I think back then I was just blaming everything on her because she's not choose the husband or not experience this. My life will not be like this. Things will not go this way. So everything was just on her neck, to be honest. And I had to let that go because, like you said, there's some things that's out of our hand. You know, she even told me that when she met my dad was different. So if she knew that's the kind of person he was, she wouldn't have married him because that goes against her religion as a Christian. Because my dad is not really a spiritual person. Goes once in a while to church. But when he was in Africa with her, it was different. He was always going to church. It was this, was that. She fell in love in a different person. And over the years, like I said, and things maybe changed. I don't know how it was before, but that's what she said. So we had like a really deep, deep conversation. And I told her how I was feeling, why I was being resentful towards her, and all that and all that. And then I think after she spoke her piece, I spoke my piece. I just let it go.
That's good. I mean, yeah, I'm learning something from you right now. Open up, speak about it, have conversations. Because like you said earlier, if we just bury it all in, we'll just be a very resentful person, very angry person, and very toxic person, bitter person. And other people out there, like they say, hot people, basically. Like other people out there who are
Yeah.
innocent and approach you, you just like blast them anyhow because of the
Exactly.
hatred that one is carrying. And, one thing that I'm learning out of this right now also is that it's only God that truly knows the heart of man and knows who someone will become in future. Like, I don't even know who I will become in future. Hopefully, great, but God knows how I
Yeah.
will behave in future. Amen. Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to marriage, and yeah, it's important to pray, and that's what is coming to my head right now. Pray hard, pray well about it.
Prayer, do fasting and prayer.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Carry a good deliverance.
Yeah, it's important because it's necessary. Because why am I saying that? I'm saying that because, like, look at you right now, because of that choice back then. I mean, you are a great person right now, but everything you experienced could have maybe been avoided if things were different, if the choices were made differently. Yeah.
Yeah, because I always feel like me and my friend always talk about it, about daddy issues. I think the way our parents grew up back then was a bit different. And, that's also a point of people always forget. That's why I had to really forgive my dad because I was like, who know how his parent treated him? Because my dad told me that he left his home or the family very at early age, relocated to Germany at a very early age, I think under 20. So he had to be a man or be on his own for at a young age. So it was not like, oh, he had a lovely home that they were covered and they were praying together. So it was a bit different for him. That's what I kind of just accepted. We don't know how he was trained. And if you don't know it, you can't do it otherwise.
Yeah.
So maybe he experienced it a bit different. Maybe that's why he is the way he is. And I can't really blame him for that. So we don't know the roots. We always see the tree. I always tell people, that's what I actually learned from my studies. You see what is happening outside, but you don't see what is within.
That's true.
And I bet you he's struggling with something too. And if he's struggling with something and it's knowing that his child is also feel a type of way about him, I'm just making the under roots deeper. So just let it go.
Yeah. And that's very courageous of you to, let it go, let him be, forgive him. And that way you also get your healing also to become a better person. Yeah. And so, I mean, you talked about your spiritual journey briefly. I just want to go into that a little bit. Like, how does that look like for you today, like your spiritual journey, and how has it changed how you see life and your place in life also?
In general, or maybe that's my own perspective, right? But I always felt like I was kind of really open-minded person. You know, in human being as an individual, we all are the way we are. Let me put it in a nice way. And when we go through something, we only think about one perspective. Getting to know God make me realize others. Standing myself in front of the mirror and looking at myself, okay, if I'm like this to myself, will it change? Would I be better if I act like that? I think that's what the Bible gave me during those period, because I was like, they did this to me. Is me, is me. I was just really focused on what they did to me, looking the other side, and going through that spiritual journey, speaking to a lot of people, praying with a lot of people, and praying myself, forgiving me for the things I can't forgive myself. That is still really difficult. I think that's one of the major prayer I was praying, asking for mercy and really forgiving myself for the things I feel like still are hidden that I can't forgive myself. And that kind of just made me realize, like, okay, do you know what? There's something bigger. It's not just me. And that bigger picture I was able to see through the Bible, through connecting with God. That's why it was a bit easy to just let go.
I'm putting some dots together. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Like, your spiritual journey exposed you to this love of God that filled your heart up, and that allowed you to be able to let go of the bad things that people did to you, forgive your parents, for example, and other people that have hurt you, and also have compassion for them. Because earlier you talked about, you don't know what your father went through that made him who he is today, or what your mother was going through that made her make the choices that she made. That's for me, it sounds like compassion for them, like having just sending God's love to them, like, okay, yeah, I understand you, I accept you for who you are, and I forgive you for what you've done to me. Oh, thanks so much for sharing that. I'm learning from you, Bethina. That's also
At least I can teach you something. I'll be
yeah,
proud of that.
yes. Okay, we're going back to the age of 20 when you became a mother, which is like a very life-altering experience. So how was that experience like for you at that moment that you realized I'm 20, I'm pregnant?
There was, I think at that stage of my life, I was going through, except being pregnant, there were so many things in life that I was going through. I think I was processing so many things. So all of them at once was very, very triggering. So I was dealing with someone I actually know I don't want to be with, but I was pregnant with the child. And then removing it was a taboo. And I was like, okay, what should I do? think I got, I think it was, I got to a stage where I was like, I don't even want to live anymore because I couldn't really navigate it. I told my parents very, very late because I really didn't know what to do. Um, my partner at that time knew the day I found out, and I was contemplating months. I think I even got to Germany. I think I was 4 months, and I was still thinking of removing it. I was already 4 months along. I was like, should I go to Holland? Because Holland does it, right? So I was like, okay, should I go to Holland? I was like, no. The Bible says that time I was not in too deep in my spiritual journey, but I knew it was a taboo. And then if my mom was even here about it, I should just let me just keep it because my mom is aware. So I didn't tell anyone from my family until I was 5, 6 months because I was ashamed of myself knowing that I didn't want to be with this person when I'm pregnant out of wedlock, and then struggling life myself. There was a day I sat down. I'm just remembering because I spoke about it last week with my therapy about that day. My therapist, the lady, what I said to her was like, I sat down at my friend's place. I was in Germany because my family was now where I was pregnant, so I was staying at my friend's place in my city, and I traveled back from UK. I was at my friend's place, and she went out. I was not feeling okay. I was just thinking about life, thinking about things. And then I was thought of just taking my life. I took 1,000 pills that I could find. I was like, should I do it? Should I do it? I didn't even know what to do. I was like, okay, sat down. And I remember about this hotline you can call if you're thinking of doing it or if you have done it and you need help. And I called this hotline and a man picked up the call, and this man picked the call, and the way he sounded like he was forced to work there.
That's sad.
The way he was talking, no empathy, nothing. But just asking questions because he will ask you questions for him to know. Should they call the um um I don't see, sorry. I'm looking for the English.
Like the like emergency.
Emergency, yeah, to pick me up. So um it was really confusing and he didn't even know what he was doing. I felt like he didn't know what he was doing. And I got so angry. And I just forgot about what I wanted to do. And I was so enraged and angry about the person that picked the call that I started writing a complaint letter to the company. Then I forgot what I wanted to do. And I remember that, I think a day later, and I remember when my friend came and then she saw the pills lying down because I just went to bed afterwards. And she was like, what happened? I did not really tell her what happened. I was like, I fell. And I remember what I wanted to do. And I called my elder sister in Nigeria and told her I was pregnant. And that's when I informed my family that I was pregnant because I was so angry. I was like, I'm not going to kill myself. For this kind of person now make a report about me that the last things I said, I was like, no. I was so angry that I won't forget I wanted to kill myself. I was like, let me leave it. And I think I just took the courage to just tell my family. I was like, okay, do you know what? I've decided what I wanted to do. I think making the decision was very difficult. So then through that conversation, I decided that I wanted to keep it. And then I spoke to all my family members and told them, okay, I'm pregnant. So that was a changing moment for me in my life, that conversation with that man.
Maybe it was a tactic of him also to,
Who
speak to you
knows?
any hour so that you change your mind.
I hope so. Because he was, I don't know. I would say today, I always tell people, maybe it might be helpful for others, but for me, that was not helpful the way it's supposed to. But at the same time, it was helpful because that actually made me decide what I wanted to do. Yeah. So, and then I told my family, and I was not confident in keeping it, because before I was, like I said, it was very embarrassing having a child and knowing already I'm going to be a single mom because I knew I didn't want to be in that relationship and having a child out of wedlock. So I just accepted it, to be honest. That was why I was able to tell my family that, okay, I'm having a child. It was a bit shocking for everyone. My dad called me immediately when I told him that because I told him I don't want to be with the man anymore. And he told me, like, who's going to marry you? You after one. That was his first response. I was like, oh, well, okay, let me call my mom. Maybe she'll be more encouraging because that his own conversation was not. So I told my mom, she was a bit shocked. My other sister was a bit shocked. But they accepted it. And I think that was also a very good experience. Them not being negative about it. And I felt still loved after telling them. Because that's why I was like, okay, would they feel disappointed? How would they see me? How would they look at me? So many things. But it was actually very good.
So it's very important to have family or friends around you that will embrace you no matter how messed up one is, basically.
Yes.
Someone you can always fall back on, even though one has messed up. It's always important.
Yes.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we have some people out there, apart from family, that will still look at you somehow and talk. How did you deal with, people, external people that were maybe looking at you in some ways or maybe saying some things? Did that happen to you? Or did you have to deal with that?
Yeah, so people, some family members in this universe that will say some things that actually doesn't really matters. I just block it out. I don't really think what people think of me really matters. I think I have in general, I feel like what people think about me don't. I think over the years, that's how it is now. And back then, I was just more focused on what my family members would think, like my mom, my sister, my dad, not really, but my family members, those close ones, they would think. Didn't really feel any type of way. I didn't even care. I don't really care, to be honest. It is what it is. And I always tell people that I think maybe that was my excuse back then. If God didn't want it to happen, it would have not happened. So that means God wanted it to happen. That's why it happened. I think if he had something else planned, it wouldn't happen that way. So I think that was my excuse I was telling people,
Yeah. And how
you
are
know.
you how are you able to navigate that? Like, being a single mother and being young. I'm sure that's like changed. I don't know what your life plan was before that, like, and your life plan afterwards. Were they still the same thing, or it changed everything? You had to, like, restructure yourself, or
I had to restructure myself. But I was lucky to have family members who were really there for me, like my white mom. I think since I gave birth or when I got pregnant, she has really been my backbone in so many ways. So with her help, it was not that difficult. But I think navigating motherhood was a bit tricky due to the partner I had. At that time, I was very, very resentful towards the person. I feel like I let that into the training of the way I trained my child back then. It was a bit like I was, when back then I was sometimes I would look at the child and back then it looked like his dad, and I was so angry. I was so so angry, like what did I put myself into? And in my mind, I was thinking like, oh, if I didn't have this child, maybe by now I'll be somewhere else. By now I'll be doing something else. By now I'll achieve whatever goal at that time I was putting as a goal in my life. But at the same time, I achieved everything I wanted to. I was able to go to school afterwards. I was able to work during the time. So I just had a good people around me. I think when I don't remember how old my child was. I think it was 1 year plus, and I went to our church, and my sister introduced me to the people, in the church. I think my child was under 1 years old. I think so, yes. And I went to go and see Pastor. I think that's what I always, when I talk about Pastor, that's the story I always tell people. That's the
okay,
first story I always tell people because for them to understand the kind of person he was or the church I go to. And I met him, Pastor, because my sister introduced me to him. And then she now went outside. I introduced myself. You know the way Pastor always smiles, welcomes you.
yeah,
And his first thing was, what do I want to become in life? He was like, oh, you're a mom. He asked me about the dad, this small talk, and if I'm married and this and that. And he didn't even go deep into the situation I'm in. He was talking about the future. And that day I went home, I was thinking about the future. What do I want to be? Can I achieve it? Because when we're talking, I was like, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. He was like, you can still do it. You have a child doesn't mean you can't do it. That's what he said, So, and he was more focused on a solution and not on the problem. I think he's the kind of person that made me think about more of a solution instead of focusing on the problem. Because me at that time, I was just focusing on, okay, how can I do it? There's a problem at hand. I can't find any solution. And his first words were, but what do you want to become in life? What do you want to do? What's my future plans? And I told him what was in my mind at that time. He was like, I don't see any problem. You can achieve it. There's nothing too big for God. Put it in prayers. Pastor, I'll put it in prayers. Pray about it.
yes,
And if that's the way you're supposed to go, he will lead you there. That I went home that day, I was thinking about it. Even on my way home, I was thinking about it. What do I actually want to be? What are my goals? How can I achieve it? I start sitting down, breathing it down. I start speaking to my mom. Before I know, I applied for schools. I started applying. And that was like a changing moment for me. Saying that, okay, I can achieve it. Someone told me that don't even know me from Adam, like, I can achieve it, you know? And that was really touching. And I felt seen, not someone looking at me as a single mom or seeing me or being a problem. The problems I'm already thinking in my head. He saw above that. And then I was like, okay, I can do it all. Let me try and see what I can do exactly. But that was a changing moment of me focusing on my schools, and my family was really there supporting me. Anytime I was tired, my mom would just come. She was like, I'm like, oh, she's like, what am I doing? I'm like, I'm tired. She would just come pick up the child for a day. till the evening. Instead of me learning, because my plan was to learn so you can take him, I slept. And when I told her, I was like, I'm so sorry. I not even did what I actually said I'm going to do. And she was like, no, sleeping is a part of it.
Yes, it is.
Listen, taking a rest for yourself is part of it. And she's like, I'm glad I could help you with that. Okay. Because anytime I felt bad calling or asking for help. And sometimes she knew I needed the help. She would just come around and be like, oh, I'll take the child. Let's go somewhere and you can do whatever you want to do. So that was really helpful. Even my siblings too, it was really, really helpful. So that made my motherhood journey. I think in life you struggle with certain things as a child grows older. You know, they always say the older the child gets, the easier it gets, right?
I was
But
like,
is that true? Don't believe
really?
that.
Oh, why? Oh,
It's not like it's easier or harder,
yeah.
but it's just a different thing, you know. The older the child gets, different parts in his life. So the problem is just different, but there's a problem sometimes. So that was, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, what you shared right now, I mean, with your encounter with pastor is very powerful. Like what I'm learning from it, or I've learned from it right now is that, no matter what one has experienced in the past, you should not allow the past to define who you are. Look ahead, look forward. I mean, yeah, what has happened already. And yeah, you should just move forward and yeah, you can become who you want to truly become. Yeah. And that, when I was introducing you, I said that and I was like, yeah, now I see where you got that from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And also one more time, the importance of having a very strong community, supporting people around you. Is very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
Yeah. So for single mothers out there right now, or people, young ladies that just got pregnant also, and they're like very confused, maybe also giving up or want to give up at the moment. What word of advice will you give to them right now at this moment?
1 second, 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I had to change something.
Okay, no problem.
So weird.
What was that?
I don't know, something just changed. That's why I was a bit confused. You can ask the question again. I think I sorted it out.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So, I mean, for young ladies out there who just realize that they're pregnant, or young mothers out there, single mothers out there who are, struggling on their own at the moment, is there like a piece of advice from your own experience that you would like to share with them?
Life does not really end there. As long you see a light in the tunnel, just take one step at a time. Take a step at a time. Don't feel pressured. Don't just take a step at a time. One step at a time. That helps a lot.
Yeah, yeah. That's powerful. Yeah, one step at a time. Yes. Don't rush. Just take it little by little. Yeah.
And I will say this, that's what the pastor at the camp out told me to, is like, don't cover yourself with guilt. I think when you enter single or being a mom, first of all, being a mom and then being a single mom, you know, is that two different aspects. I would say it's two different. Being a mom and being a single mom are two different things. And I always tell people that don't feel guilty. Let the guilt go. Because you always dwell in the guilt like, oh, I'm making my child grow through something like this because maybe I wasn't able to. The first thing people always say back then to me when I told them I was single mom, so you can't keep a man. That was their first response. I was like, okay. So, and that sometimes if I'm in my feelings, it really enters my brain. I was like thinking about it a lot. Like, is that true? I'll be doubting what I already know, because I know that is a lie. So just because of that, I always tell people, don't feel guilty. There's a bigger picture.
Don't feel guilty. Yeah. And this bigger picture ahead of you. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. One thing I find very wonderful about you is that you have this big heart to help people. And despite everything you've experienced in the past, with everything you've experienced in the past and all the trauma you've experienced and your healing journey, and what you're sharing right now also is even making me understand even more why you have so much more compassion for people out there who are suffering. Because now you work in the social field, as a social worker supporting both elderly and young people. Earlier, I mean, I already wanted to ask you this, but I think I've gotten the answer already on why you chose that part. But I'll still ask you anyways. Like, what have these roles taught you about human needs, connection, and resilience? Like, I think I understand why you chose that part, but you could explain why you chose, to become a social worker, and also as the next step, what has this role of a social worker working in social field, what has it taught you?
I was really blessed over the years that even though been through so many things, I was blessed with people around me who picked me up when needed, who helped me when needed. So I was really blessed to have few people in any phase of my life that was there for me. And I know there are people over the years I was like, "Ah, if I'm really going through this, people must be going through worse." And especially when you're in a system where who knows the background and you're growing through many problems at once and you don't have anyone to lean on, no anyone to talk to, no anyone who can help you. And I was like, especially as a child, because I experienced it as a child, I was really focused on working in that field to help those children. Because, maybe their parents are not really there for them, their friends, family people around them, family members. And you go to a place or you're living in a place and someone is just there to just listen. Someone is just there to just hug you or give you a piece of advice. Sometimes that was helpful for me. And I believe it's going to be helpful for those children too. And that's why I was decided to take the path as a social worker. Because at first, since I was later, I was thinking of becoming a lawyer. And I wanted to help those people from the back. Because there are people who decide on, for example, the judge that decided on my case when I was in the system and the social workers, they were very great people. They were focused on me. And it's not everyone that are like that. I am very grateful I had those people around me. And my first goal was to become a lawyer to help, family lawyer for that matter, so I can be there to help those children. Because, sometimes we hear stories where, even now if I can share, but in where I'm working as a part-time job, there's a child that was molested by the parents, by the father. Because of she only experienced it, her younger brother had to stay there with the father, knowing fully well what is going on. And the judge decided it. I was like, law or no law? Either have to change the law. That was my goal. Either have to change the law or I'll decide for that child something the parents obviously can't do. So that was actually my first goal. But when I had a child and, studying law takes years, and at that time, I felt like I couldn't do it. I won't really have that time to invest. My child was really young then, it was 2.5. So I was like, okay, let me do something else that is quicker. So 3 years was like, okay, I can make it in 3 years. I can see help in a different way, not by changing laws or deciding or supporting them as a lawyer, as those children, but I can maybe be there for them when they're going through those phases. And that's why I chose to become that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about being in the system. We didn't touch. I know I've heard this story before, but we didn't talk about it in this conversation. I don't know if you want to shine some light on that, like shed some light on you being in the social system.
Yeah. So when I was 15 years old, I was taken away from my dad. My other sister was already above 18, but the government was guiding her through that process of being alone. And she now shine light upon us, as in me and my younger brother, telling them what is going on at home. So, except for my dad being violent and abusive with his words and physically, he was also making us work.
It's younger, like
Yeah, we're working in his shop. He had a shop, bar, a club. So we was always working there. And at first, I was offering him because I know he was stressed. So I was like, okay, let me help you out. And then later it became a must. If I
Child labor.
didn't, I was a bad child. Due to that, I couldn't go to school. I was always tired. I was not failing exams. So my sister shine light upon the situation, and my dad is a bit known in the system due to my younger siblings, the way he behaved towards their mothers. So that's why the government already knew about us. So at the age of 15, I got taken out of my dad's home and I lived with a foster family for a while. Then I moved to my foster mom, who I always say as my mom or my white mom, because I have two. So I was not living with my foster mom. So that's how I got into the system. And I was in the foster system till I became 18 years old, yeah. And I could stay longer, but I now relocated to UK. So me moving stopped the whole process. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, how is it like to be in the foster system? What's that like?
Like I said, I was always blessed and lucky to experience it positively. So what happened was we were in contact with the social worker for months, and they were like, okay, you have to leave the home now. You have some dates to move. And I was always pushing the date, but they were really, really patient. And there's something that they just clicked to me. And then I moved. And like I said, I had a positive experience. I had someone that was taking care of me, always checking up on me. Because I left quickly, they have not really found a home. So the question was, do I want to live in with other youths, or I want to go to or stay with a family, foster family? The foster home we were was a black home. So most times I think they feel like you want to put you in a black family so that you feel more at home, more connected to your own culture. But the place I was so loud. They had 3 kids on their own and 2 boys. And then me and my brother went there, and boys, loud, playing football, morning, night. And for me, that was too much. I wanted to be alone. I wanted to be for myself. And then I sat down with them and they were asking me, "Oh, what do I actually?" And they asked me, okay, I told them I want a workaholic person. The person must not be married. And I like dogs. My dad back then never allowed me to African home. You hardly see a home where they have dogs or animals. And my dad said over his dead body, will he put a dog in his house? I was like, I want to have a dog. If the person has a dog, no problem, but no cats. I don't like cats. So I was not able to choose what I wanted. And luckily, they found someone that just registered with them, my foster mom, just registered with them just 2, 3 months ago. She's alone. She's working. She has a dog. But
Perfect.
so we met once, then just to get to know ourselves, whether we would imagine us living together. So we did like a trial. So I was living with her for a month to see, okay, can we live together? And when we did that, I was like, do you know what is good? I like it here. I have peace,
Mm.
no, no noise around me. And I felt chosen. She wanted me, you know. When that happened, she was not so nice. After I said I wanted her to be working 24/7, she was like, now I have a child at home. Let me work less.
That's it.
Oh, that was not, at the moment I was like, that's not what I wanted. And she was not trying to be home more often or closing early from work. It was our own company and she was always working. So sometimes she would close by 9. So she was not closing by 5. So we could have dinner together. I was like, oh God.
You do want that. You want to be on your own.
But at the same time, that was good. It was really nice. And she was very open to my culture. She was very open to my siblings, my family. She had been to Nigeria twice, you know. So she's a very open and minded person. And that was very good. Because living with a white person, I was scared, like, okay, what if she distance me from my family? Obviously, the family I have, they won't allow that, you know. But I think that was the first time in my life I had to make a decision, choosing to be with her because I remember that time my whole family, my mom, my siblings, two other sisters were like, I should not leave my brother. We should at least stay together in one household. I was like, but I'm not happy. And they were like, yeah, but that's the sacrifice you make as siblings. My brother wanted to stay. I didn't want to. I was like, can't he come with me? And he was like, he didn't, obviously,
Yes,
for his
friends.
own valid reasons. And everybody was like, I had to. My family was pressuring me. My mom was pressuring me to stay there. And that was the first time I stood on my own feet. I was like, nope, I'm going. It was a good feeling. It was very difficult, but I felt relieved deciding. I was like, yes. And today they were like, that was the best decision for me. Because at the end of the day, it's for me. Because that's what the government would tell me, like, because I was telling them my family want me to stay here. Okay, I'll stay, you know? And they were like, no, don't feel pressure. Decide what's best for you. And everybody was like, you're just 15 now. How can you know what's best for you? You know? Well, I was like, okay, my feeling is similar is the best thing for me. And I just decided it. And the government was very supportive. So I was, people always complain about the system. I've experienced it during being in that field that they can be difficult, but I had a great experience, and I always share the great experience I had for people to be encouraged because, in our Black community, yeah, the government, foster home, everybody's like, I don't want the government to be involved in my life. And I always tell people it's not as bad as you think. There are ways they can help you. I'm working in it. I've experienced it myself. Sometimes you might be unlucky with the person that's dealing your case, but that's where you pray. Now I tell people pray about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Fast.
pray start early. The system is there to help. Of course, there are people in the system that don't want the best for people, but that doesn't mean the system is not helpful. So I always encourage people to, and I'm going to say here too, it's not as bad as you think. Pray about it. If you really need help, you can get help too there. You know.
I mean, for you to be working in the system, it has to be good in some ways, or in a lot of ways, actually.
Yes, I will say it. There's always the same thing I will say about now that I'm working the system. People always say that, but there are rules and regulations. Yes, they are. It's good, you know, so for everybody to navigate properly. But yet, there's always a loophole. Find the loophole. I always tell you that, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I always say find it. There's always going to be a loophole. And that's when you can take charge, because in my field, we always argue about the girls. I was like, they are too much on their phones, too much internet, too much this. And they're like, by law, we're not allowed to cut off the internet.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, really? So like, yeah, legally, we can't just say they're not allowed to have internet because of they're 24/7 on the phone. I was like, well, fine. But then you can tell them how many hours. You're not cutting off the internet. You just reducing it.
You're limiting it, yeah.
You are just sticking to a time frame. And that's the loophole. So maybe it's a 6 p.m. or only 1 hour a day. And if they're not enough for them, they should go outside and get the data and get their own internet on their phone. Then that is money for them to spend. So there's always a loophole. That's how I feel like life is, but the system is there for a reason. No.
For structure, yeah.
Yes.
For structure. I know you're so up. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that, and that's what's leading me to my next question because I know you help people out there. You've taken it upon yourself to help people even to relocate to Germany, to start afresh, to build up their career, also to start a new life for themselves. So, would you like to tell us a little bit about this initiative of yours and how you're helping people out there, to embark on this new journey?
Yes. So, with over the years, I have a lot of friends worldwide, siblings or people I consider as friends. And when you meet people that just relocated to Germany, for example, they'll just tell you about stories, like what they're experiencing. I had a friend, he sat down. This is a matured man. He was crying. What's going on? It's just like he's frustrated with Germany. And he's frustrated with the way things are going. Like he doesn't even care if he's hungry in Africa. He prefers to be hungry in Africa than be frustrated in Germany. He told me something like he was working for a company. Obviously, he was living in Baden-Baden. We all know Baden-Baden, what can happen there. But he was living there and then he was working for a company and he's a student. And the boss refused to pay them for 5 months. We're not in Africa, we're in Germany. And he didn't know what to do. He didn't know. And then the person was like, you can't do nothing. Even though if you call police on me, they can't do nothing. Obviously, he knows why, because that place is very, part of them, or people there, or a lot of people there are very racist. So he felt helpless. I was like, really? I was like, I have a good lawyer that always helped me when I need him. He can just write a letter. Just one letter, he'll bring out the money. But then he was scared that, because of his school and the environment he was living, that they will pursue him, they'll harm him. Because I had a friend too that was saying that she was just walking down the street, someone threw her a banana on her head, calling her racial words. And she couldn't do anything about it. I'm like, you can do something and call the police. But she was like, how can she do it when she cannot speak the language? So many barriers that people who relocate to Germany or a place where they can't speak the language have. And I was like, obviously, if any person that comes to me and asks for advice, I'll give you, and if I don't know, I'll look for it and give it to you, or give you someone that can help you through that process. So I told him what he could do, and then he would just call me randomly. So I have this friend that is going through this thing, or that is trying to do his document this way, and I was like, and it's just gonna be random. And I'm like, I wish I can help you like this, but I'm really choked sometimes. And it became so often people from UK, people from Poland, people relocating to Poland, what they can do. And then I was like, and then one day in a church service, the pastor was preaching about new opportunities, and I just went to pastor that day. I think next Sunday, because pastor is always busy. And I spoke to him about what my idea was. That was one of my ideas. I have so many ideas. People that know me know I have plenty of ideas.
I know you have plenty of ideas, and you're a
That
very
was one
busy
of
person.
it's a lot. So that was one of my ideas. And my second idea was, I have a friend, and my friend that came with me to the camp out, she's half caste. That her child too is, black and Nigerian father, and she's half or mixed. So any kindergarten we went to, because I was working in kindergarten, what I still do, and there's no kindergarten, or very few, who have English, German. The daycare I went for my son, the people were speaking English, Poland, and German. So it was a bilingual daycare. So I was like, there's less. And the ones we have in my city, the people that may be relocating to Germany from America or UK, and they're always going to get those kind of spaces. So I was like, and she was like, she would like to teach a child English, or my child should be around people where they speak English. So the child can understand and speak English and speak to her dad, So I was like, that was my second idea. Okay, maybe open a kindergarten that has that offers that to people, creating work for people that have higher degrees in Nigeria. Then due to the system, they come here and they get lower degree, or they can't even work in the field. I was like, at least through that we can create jobs for them. So that was my second idea. So I went to pastor and I was like, you're talking about opportunities, breakthrough and all that. I have some few ideas. And then he was like, he was thinking about it, or at least the daycare one. And he likes the idea. And I should just go deeper, make a list, get back to him. Me and Pastor had several meetings where he was kind of navigating me through that process. And we concluded. And I said, okay, I'm going to embark on it. And I was like, okay, either I do it alone or with support. So I went to pastor, this is now business, my pastor anymore. Are you supporting? You want to be a partner, or you want to just be a mentor through the process? Because then we have to calculate the shares. Now we're talking about business.
Of course, money.
And the money is very important. And he laughed. He was like, oh, you love that. You love that. Business, money is like, it's life at the end of the day. But I decided to open a company called Heavenly Connect Enterprise, where we support people who are in Germany or around Europe seeking for a job having difficulties with the documents and helping them through this process. So we have, like, for example, I have a lawyer where they can always contact when they're going through immigration process. You know, it's very, very difficult to find a lawyer, you know, that really understands and wants to help. I've met a lot of lawyers, and it was before you get appointments 3 months, but then they already deported you because they don't feel that passion, they don't feel that empathy, you know. And I always say, well, we have less Black or African lawyers nowadays. Praise be to God, we have more immigrant lawyers here. Maybe in my area, for example, who are lawyers that want to help the community. By that time or by now, I'm not still a lawyer, but I can help in different ways, connecting you to those people to help you through that process. There are, people who are going through the documents and they need work. We have some connections with some companies who can give you a work contract for you to now have the opportunity to stay and, become whatever you want to become in your life. And supporting people through housing. It's very difficult to find housing in Germany, especially if you're relocating to Germany. The process of registering yourself, then getting the help from the government, or you finding your loan. And when you don't even speak the language, you will not even be in the option for them, especially when they won't read through your name. It's not even an option. So we support people through that aspect too. And Pastor was like, okay, me. So I was thinking like, Germany is not the only place. There are people outside Germany that need help. So we now expanded through Europe, in Canada, Australia, US, from all around the world. So I have a lot of partners who are specialized in specific countries who can help you navigate through whatever issues you have. Is it your documents, is your immigration process, if it's your housing process, work process. There's so many things that is going on that you might need help. So we help people in that aspect too.
That's very lovely. For people out there, for example, who would like to maybe work with you or they know someone that needs help, like what's the best way to connect with you in order to maybe start their own process out or get the help that they need?
We have a website. We have Instagram page because at first we were just focusing on our website, but then nowadays Gen Z are now more on the social medias, so you can contact us through WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. So
Awesome.
yeah, we have a WhatsApp. Yeah.
I'll place all the information. I mean, you can give me the information. I'll place them in the show notes of this episode. So encourage everyone that is interested to just click on the link, reach out to you on whatever platform that is, convenient for them or comfortable for them, either
Yes.
WhatsApp or Instagram or just on the website also to reach out to you for maybe via email also. I don't know.
It's possible.
It's possible too.
Okay.
Also, I mean, I find what you do very incredible. It's awesome what you do, like, helping people out there to have a better life for themselves, not just in the social field, but also people that are coming in to, start a new life or in a new life already, but are finding it very difficult to navigate the new life themselves. And that's really awesome. You're doing a wonderful thing out there for humanity.
I'll try my best. When I become the lawyer that I want to be, then
Yeah.
I can make some changes or
Yeah.
be more helpful, you know.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to you
Me
becoming
too.
a lawyer. And I like one thing I admire about that is you revisiting you having that courage to revisit your childhood dream. Earlier you said as you were when you were a child, when you were younger, you wanted to become a lawyer, and now you are revisiting that dream and you are pursuing it or going after it to become it. That's very, very awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you started? Is the ball rolling already? I mean, have you started the process already of becoming a lawyer, of going to school and all of that?
I'm starting this October. I'm excited.
Oh, that's awesome! Awesome! Congratulations!
I'm a bit excited, but at the same time nervous, you know. And when I told my family, like, I want to do it, why? Why do you want to stop work? And I was trying to explain to them it's not about the work, but, is I always wanted to do it. My white mom was like, yeah, it's good. I like arguing. And I like arguing. The person is like, I like arguing. So you can even put that energy more into it. You can be arguing with the judge and the opponent. So no problem. I should go for it. That's what she said. And because when I even did it, because I wanted to do it over 3 years ago, I wanted to start. So I was like, okay, no. I was like, okay, let me do something else. Or I had other things in between that would maybe hinder it. So I was like, okay, let me finish that. A few months ago, I was like, I've checked all the boxes I actually wanted to do. So, okay, there's nothing hindering me. Should I go for it? Should I go for it? And she was like, okay, let me try my luck. I was scared they're gonna accept me, because of my grades. I was like, okay, let me try. And then did. I was like, wow. I just sent to my mom, was like, I got accepted. Before we know, she was like, when is it starting? I was like, okay, but I'm working. I was like, if I stop working now, I'm not gonna do it financially. And there's some things that will not make you like, okay, let me don't do it. I was like, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. She said, when we get there, we'll solve it one step at a time.
Yeah.
Let me focus. Let me stop work. And if I feel like I still have the space to still work while studying, why not? But I should not stress myself. I should just do it. And I'm excited because now I'm feeling like a bit pressured to like pass it. That's why I make my mouth wide open and say that I want to become a lawyer now. Now I have to become it. That's what I
You
was
have
telling
to
my friend.
become it. You have to become
Whether
it.
the devil likes it or not, I am gonna be a lawyer. You
Yes.
know.
Yeah. I believe in you. I know you will do it. I believe that you will become a great lawyer that will help a lot of people out there, millions of people out there, and change people's life. I really believe
Yes, sir.
that. I mean, Bettina, it has been a wonderful time speaking with you. I've learned so much from you, from all the experiences that you've had in the past and the lessons that you got from them to become who you are today. I mean, I'm sure you are very proud of who you are right now and who you are going to become in the nearest future also. I don't know if you have like some extra tools that you make use of, to keep you grounded and also moving forward despite what you've achieved or achieved in life and what you've experienced also in the past. Are there something that keep you grounded that does not make you ready to explode? That keeps you moving forward also.
I take a lot, or I kind of appreciate time off. I try in between, even due to motherhood and responsibilities like work and all that. Make sure I have my time off for myself. Do something that is fun. I remember when I was writing my exam, yes, 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. So I traveled to UK for 1 week to, level myself, and I go back and I was revamped, I was recharged. I was like, now I can go and write the exam. I can do it. Because I always felt like when I'm always under pressure, I don't really function 100%. So I'll make sure I do something. If you just even get my nails, time off for myself, you know, be with myself, and then it was just watching telly. Sometimes just watching telly, and that's all. But only me in the house.
Having some me time, self-care, self-love.
Yes,
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
yes.
that helps.
That's very vital. Wow. I mean, I don't know if you still have any final message you want to share with people out there. Me, I have a load of things I've learned from you already. But for people out there who still feel stuck or feel rejected or unsure of their own future, like, is there a last final message that you like to leave them with before we end up this conversation?
I'll say my favorite word.
Yes.
No matter how hard life is, there's always a loophole. Find the loophole.
Find the loophole. Yes. I should go after that written somewhere. Find the loophole. Yeah.
Find the loophole. There's always the loophole.
Hmm. There's always a loophole. Wow, Bettina, it has been so wonderful speaking with you. I don't know. I'm going to place the link to your website in the show notes of this episode for people out there who need help in that regard, to start afresh, to navigate their new life so they can reach out to you. And also, by the time you become that lawyer, I hope you could come back on the show again and talk to us about the journey of becoming a lawyer. It has been like being a lawyer at that point.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for sharing everything and being open, vulnerable with your story. And I pray that your healing journey will continue and you become a great shining star that you are made to be. Thank you so much.
And thank you for the platform to share my story. Really, really appreciate it. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.